Alright, the ducks are in the pond. I just ran a 12-minute run of water out of the 3/4 inch pipe from my system. And the valve was about half open, I guess. Can't handle full flow because it overflows the side right here of the pond because my elevation's not quite right. But I was in a hurry. Didn't pay attention. Must have that coronavirus. Anyway, I wrapped the anaerobic bioreactor, whatever you want to call it, with the black plastic, and I cut holes for the valve handle and the outlet, gas outlet. I mean, that is the gas outlet with the valve and hose coming off, so then I can attach it to more hose to go to a storage system. But I don't think it's producing methane yet. Doesn't smell like it. But I just put the too much light coming in, so I put the plastic on it, and we'll see how that does. And I didn't cover the whole thing, but I got most of it, and mostly facing the sun. Sun goes that way. Oh, also I cut the feed pipe down, and it was tricky how I did that, so it came out looking really uneven. And it's because it is really uneven. I just haven't been back to trim it up. And but it's still the same setup. And I started putting food into it. Check this out. Air hose. Oh my gosh, a beautiful descending spiral down to the air bubbler. Alright, I started putting food in. There's the oranges and stuff. There's some stuff that floats in the feeder tube and it won't go in, so I don't know if it's gonna decompose in there, or maybe I need to make some kind of pusher and push it down and get it out of there, or maybe I do nothing. So right now I'm on the option of doing nothing. It's the easiest so far. And alright, so my system ran for 12 minutes. I turned it off. 18 minutes later, water is basically slowed to a trickle in the aerobic tank. I got the netting going, got air going. First I hooked up my small bubbler. It wasn't putting out enough air, so I did the big bubbler on it, same tubing, and it put out a lot more air. Great. And the netting surface area for the bacteria. Water looks pretty murky because that's mostly the aerobic bioreactor water. It just ran, the quote-unquote clean water out of the barrel through that overflow. Now this used to be just a upwards facing pipe, but I changed it. Now it goes down a little bit with an opening on top to break a siphon. Of course, it never gets that much water anyway, but if it was closed, it would siphon. And I'm thinking about doing that next time, but in fact, see, I got my cap right there. But for now, I want it controlled where it's just the downward facing pipe that's below the water that you can't see is so we're not pulling the surface scum and foam off the top of this reactor. It's coming down. It's coming from about 4 or 6 inches down, and lately I've been turning the air off 10 or 15 minutes before I run the water through the system and have the particles settle. I think next time I'm going to do it for an hour, but I have to develop some kind of routine and alarm system so I remember to come back to it, and frankly I don't have that much disposable time. So I don't know. Okay, but it is kind of fun to do this kind of stuff. So I just strapped a couple boards here for supporting the airline, and that's pretty tough. I use my hammer drill because my regular drill, I had some small problem, and then I took it apart, and then now I've got big problems. It gets super hot when I run it. There's a short somewhere. I don't know. All my hot greens. I'm not eating anything from my garden right now because I'm not sure. Especially, I wouldn't eat it right after if it's been touching the water, because I think this is still a developing system. And we haven't got the bacterial population in the netting that I'm looking for. I think that's 3 or 4 weeks out, but we'll see. Strawberries. Pomegranate's waking up, putting out leaves, looks happy. That one ivy looks like it glows. It's amazing with all that red fuzz. If it was in focus. Oh yeah, there you go. See, it glows. It's amazing. So that one is totally alive, and it's throwing out a streamer over here, and I'm thinking about letting it grow up into this tulip tree. I can't think of any reason not to. The other kiwis, oh, how cool. This is the first sign of life I've seen. That kiwi's alive, and where's this one coming from? Okay, same kiwi. And then now we're still waiting for this guy to wake up, which is a separate kiwi. That's one. That's when I got male female pair, and then I've got this one, and this was a male female with something else. The something else died, and I'm hoping that these guys, other two, can be enough to fertilize this one too. But otherwise I'll have to get something. I think it's a fuzzy kiwi, and that makes sense with the it's like, oh, it's weird. It's cool though. Feels like a kiwi on the outside. Probably has fruits like one. Okay. I put in lettuce. Lettuce got destroyed. Absolutely destroyed by snails. So I threw in a ton of spinach seeds that I saved from last year. And they're sprouting also in this one. Boom. Sprouting. This is where the duck water comes into the system. And I've got them both discharging on top of this stone to spread the water out, dilute it with fresh water from the small pipe. There's the duck water. I mean, now it's the aerobic reactor discharge water, effluent. And it spreads out on that stone to maximize surface area and oxygen exchange. And it looks pretty good. Doesn't look very murky like it has been looking murky. This time it looks pretty good. Spinach seedlings. My loganberry bush, look at all the flowers. I can't wait to see all the berries, because then I'm going to eat those berries and reap the fruit of my labor. This kale is just infested with aphids to the nth degree. It's amazing. But the one next to it is doing just fine, so it must taste different, or I don't know. Dandelion. Oh, blossoms are showing up. Oh, they're gone. Earlier in the day they had a bunch of yellow blossoms. They've closed up and become seeds. And I'm saving the blossoms for dandelion wine. Gonna try. These new starts are wanting probably for multiple things. I just put iron in the system. And then there's more new starts. New starts. These are the teenager starts. And so the spinach, the marshmallow bush, of course, boom. And the one stalk there, boom, see? It's alive. So I cut down all the stalks but this one last year. And the one I left is doing it. Raspberry bush, it's surviving. Raspberry bush, and it goes up there, and it's showing a discoloration. I think it's iron. The lemon tree was saying iron. Red currant bush, all the flowers, about maybe I guess half the flowers are closed up and gonna be berries. Ooh, there's a green one right there. Tomato. I put 2 tomato plants up there, 1, 2. Cilantro, parsley. I pulled out that big one that was down there. None of my seeds started. My grape is alive. Both grapes are alive. Springtime, waking up. And yeah, it looks good. Looks like it's gonna be a good year. Good year for the garden. Onions.